But welcome to this event, and if I can now introduce our first speaker, that is Leon Harris. And Leon, do feel free to get the presentation ready. Leon is joining us from the University of Hertfordshire. He is an Education Liaison Officer, and Leon is going to be talking to us today about choosing a university course. So Leon, the floor is yours, please.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, John, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to get up the presentation. Perfect. So, yes, my name is Leon, and I'm from the University of Hertfordshire, which is the campus university based in the south of England. And what I'm going to talk about today is how to choose a university, how to choose the right university for yourself. So this talk will look at factors you may wish to consider when picking the right course and the right university, and how to decide what is best for you. So what is actually out there? Now, across the United Kingdom, there are over 50,000 undergraduate courses available to apply for across 395 plus different higher education institutions. So it is quite daunting, the amount of choice that is actually out there. So with so much choice, how can you, firstly, research your options effectively? Secondly, refine your choices. And finally, make the right decision for yourself. So on the slide here, some of what is noted will be really important to yourself. It will be imperative. Others may not be as important. So it's all down to you. So whatever your feelings are, do your research and just make sure the decision you make in terms of choosing your university is based on facts and not assumptions. If you're making an informed choice, I'm confident that whatever you decide to do, there'll be amazing opportunities ahead wherever you go for university. So when it comes to initial research, luckily there's many resources available for you that can assist you when researching your options and choosing the right university for yourself. Now, university prospectuses can provide information on available courses, entry requirements, and what opportunities and facilities are available to students. And all this information will also be on individual university websites. You can use the UCAS search tool to view types of courses available, and there's plenty of impartial websites available out there. For example, UniTasterDays, which we're on today, What Uni, Discover Uni, the Uni Guide, that can provide really excellent impartial advice and guidance. One way also to decide which university might be the best for you is to attend UCAS exhibitions and higher education fairs. Now, in normal times, these will be physical events. Because of the current climate we're in, a lot of these are now happening virtually. So for example, UCAS and UK University Search are both running virtual higher education fairs. And at these events, you can talk to and chat with different universities and just get a feel for what they can offer you. So definitely, attend some of these events, even if you can't attend them physically at the moment, in order to get a better idea about which university, would cater to you most. And finally, listen to the views of students as well. So on the student room, for example, you can chat to current students, UniBuddy also, which is available on some individual university websites, but also available on UCAS as well. You can chat one-on-one with current undergraduate students. The National Student Survey, which is published every year, will have the opinions of students about their particular university and course. And finally, open days as well. All of these are fantastic ways to get the independent viewpoints of students who are currently studying at the university you may wish to consider. Now, when it comes to open days, similar to exhibitions and higher education fairs, a lot of this is now being done virtually because of the current climate. So in normal times, open days are probably one of the most important factors in helping you decide which university to apply for and which university to attend, to actually see in person. Now, hopefully in the next couple of months, things, fingers crossed, will ease up and you'll be able to go see the campus in person. But until that time, many universities are hosting virtual open days, virtual experiences, which are available, 24/7 for you to actually take virtual tours, learn more about the courses, see the accommodation virtually, and so forth. And again, a lot of these virtual events will be listed on UniTasterDays as well. So don't panic if you can't attend an open day in person at the moment. A lot of this will be brought up online by all universities, just so you can still get as much of a feel as possible about that particular institution. Okay, so when it comes to league tables and rankings, so these are things you might have come across, and league tables and rankings are one way to compare universities and the courses they offer. And what they can do is provide information on a range of areas, such as student satisfaction scores, graduate prospects, and student to staff ratios. What I would say though is that different league tables use different pieces of information to come up with an overall ranking. So for a truly rounded view of what a university might be like, use league tables and rankings as only one source of information. Don't use it as your only source of information and research. Because what the case could be would be that a university that is highly ranked might not be right for you, and a university that is more lowly ranked might be the perfect place for you. It all depends on what you're looking to get from university. So don't discount somewhere just because of its place in a league table. Also, when looking at the league tables, I would suggest look where the course is ranked more so than where the overall university is ranked, because there might be a university that is overall ranked lower on the league tables, but for your particular course of interest, it might be ranked really high, and you might miss out on that fantastic opportunity just because you're only looking at the overall rankings. The three major league tables available are the Guardian, the Times, Higher Education World University Rankings, and also the Complete University Guide. If you just Google these, it'll all come up, and you better search for league tables and rankings online. Another way for you to maybe choose a university is to look at the Teaching Excellence Framework and how a university has been graded. Now, what is the Teaching Excellence Framework? It was introduced by the government to determine how universities are maintaining and exceeding quality standards. And what it does, it measures excellence in teaching quality, learning environment, as well as student outcomes and learning gain. Participation is voluntary, so not all universities have been graded, but you'll be able to see which institutions have been ranked gold, silver, and bronze according to the measures that they're being assessed in. And again, if you just Google Teaching Excellence Framework, you'll be able to see what grades have been assessed to all the different universities that have volunteered to take part in this across the UK. Something I should mention also is to look for graduate prospects as well. So with graduate prospects, a really good website to see what students do after they finish at a particular university is to go on the discoveruni.gov.uk website. And you'll be able to see for each particular university and each course within that university, the percentage of students who 6 months after they graduate are in employment or full-time study. So it's a good way to compare and contrast different universities and where their students end up at upon graduation. Now, another way to choose a university that is best for you is to look at the subject area and type of courses they offer. Now, this does sound maybe quite obvious, you know, choosing a subject area. However, I've known people who have chosen a university and they didn't actually offer the course that that particular student wanted to study. They only went there because of maybe the location or their friends were going to that particular university. You know, you need to make sure you're choosing the right course for yourself. So when choosing university, make sure that university offers the subject you wish to study. And look for the type of courses as well. So on the slide here, I've listed several different types of courses. For example, single honours, joint honours, which is when you divide your time 50-50 between two different subject areas. Sandwich courses, where you'll have an extra year working in industry or studying abroad. So when looking for universities, not all universities offer the same type of courses. So always make sure the university you're interested in offers the exact type of course you wish to do. For example, if you want to go abroad for 1 year as part of your university degree, the university that might stand out to start with, that you're really interested in, might not offer that as part of the course they're going to be teaching. So again, do this research in order to see, is the university going to be offering you everything that you want to gain from your university experience? In terms of the courses as well, look at course content, teaching, and assessment also, because courses with different sounding names may be very similar, and courses with the same name may be completely different as well. And, you know, this will change from university to university. History at one university might be taught completely different to history at another university. They have the same name, but for all intents and purposes, they are very, very different. So visit university course pages to research course content and understand how a course will be taught and assessed. Because as I said, this will differ sometimes quite drastically between different universities. Look at entry requirements as well, because again, even if this is looking more at university courses, when looking at particular universities, it can change quite drastically from university to university. So for the universities you're interested in, just make sure the grades for asking for are achievable and that you have a good chance of meeting the entry requirements. Something also to look out for is that universities might state their entry requirements quite differently. So they might be stated as grades or UCAS points, or they might put both down on their websites. Just to give you an example, the university I work for now, our entry requirements, we will publish as UCAS points. I used to work for a different university in London, and they stated their entry requirements as grades. So again, very, very different it can be. So again, just make sure you are up to date with how the grading system works and how UCAS points works. Also, some courses will require prior study of certain subjects. And again, this can change from university to university. Again, let's look at history. One university might ask you to have studied A-level history as an essential requirement to get onto that course. Another university, it might not be as prevalent. They might just ask you to have studied maybe humanities subject or a similar subject. You don't have to necessarily study history. And again, this will vary from uni to uni. So just do your research and make sure, when considering universities, you meet the entry requirements they're asking for. Now, just to wrap up, what we're going to look at to conclude is how to pick a university based on what type of uni it is. Now, a lot of universities will be split into two different areas. It could be a campus university, and one of the speakers today will be talking more about that in more detail, or it could be a city university. And each will have their own advantages and disadvantages. So there's hundreds of places to study, and just remember, different locations offer different experiences. So just think about what you want to get from the university experience. Studying at a city university might result in a more active social lifestyle in terms of city living, and they'll have great transport links. Campus university, advantages, everything is on site. You can walk to lectures from your accommodation, and it's got more of a community feeling as well. But again, it's up to you which you would prefer. Also look to see what student experience you will be able to gain from each particular university you're interested in. So look at the local area, look at what social events the universities run, what sports they offer and sports facilities, look at what clubs and societies they have. Because if, for example, if you're really interested in sport, this might be a deciding factor in where you do go to study for university. It's based on their sports facilities. And finally, think about, do you want to move away from home or do you want to commute? So things to consider if you do move away from home is the cost of living. So different parts of the UK will have different costs of living, and think also the type of university environment that university will provide you, and think about the location also. When it comes to accommodation on campus, think about the type of rooms that are available. So each university will have different types of rooms that they offer to their students. So again, just look to see what range there is. Also, see how many people you might be sharing with in terms of student accommodation, because at some universities, the average might be 6 people you're sharing with. Other universities, it could be higher. My first year university, I was sharing with 15 other people. So again, this does vary from uni to uni. So again, just something to look into, as well as extra available facilities as well. Are there plenty of laundry facilities? Are there common rooms at this particular university's accommodation facilities? So all things to look out for. And then before I conclude, you might want to commute to university and live at home. And again, just think about the advantages, disadvantages in terms of commuting or living at university. And this could help you narrow down your choices when it comes to choosing your university. So commuting could have potentially cheaper living costs because you're living at home and you have a familiar supportive environment. But always consider, if you do want to commute, the accessibility and cost of transport links as well. Okay, my final key tips. So research. It's essential you do as much research as possible to find, for you to choose the best university for yourself. Pick a course you wish to study first and then choose the university that offers that course. compare course content, and check entry requirements. Be aware of the costs as well, both living costs, accommodation costs, travel costs, when it comes to picking the right uni for you. And also just make sure the courses and universities you apply for can offer everything you wish to gain from your university experience. Remember, this choice is what is best for you. You're going to be studying at university for 3 or more years. So you've got to make sure you're choosing the best university that can provide you with everything you want. So remember, this choice is 100% yours. And by doing research, you better get you as to make the best choice for yourself. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to pass over to the next speaker now. And if you want to email me any point about any sort of advice, my email is on the slide now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leon. Excellent session. Took a lot from that. And one thing Leon mentioned, actually, which not many people always think about, is looking at assessment when looking at courses. Like loads of students look at perhaps modules and what to expect on the actual course. But we had a chemistry event about 4 weeks ago now, and the speaker said he was absolutely great at practicals, great at coursework, not so good at exams, but he didn't ever look at what percentage would be exams, coursework, etc. So a really, really good session. Thank you, Leon. I really enjoyed that. Our second speaker is Melissa, who's joining us from Liverpool Hope University. Melissa is going to talk about studying essentially at a campus university. Loads of universities will say, we are a campus university. But loads of students then ask me, and they'll say, well, what is a campus university? And because sometimes universities just assume everyone knows about campus universities, and there's no reason why you should know what a campus university is, unless you've come to a fantastic talk like Melissa's now, where she's going to talk to us about studying at a campus university. So, Melissa, without further ado, the floor is now yours, please.
Thanks, Jon. I'm just going to jump onto my screen share. Okay. So we should be all okay to go. So thanks everyone for joining in. So as Jon introduced me, my name is Melissa and I work as a Creative Projects Officer at Liverpool Hope University. So I work between 2 campuses. Now we are a campus-based university, but we have 2 separate campuses. And one of them is the Creative Campus and one of them is our Hope Park campus. The Creative Campus is quite close to Liverpool city centre, but it is a good, say, 10-15 minute walk. And the Hope Park campus is just slightly out of Liverpool in a wee place called Chilwell. And that's about a 20-minute or so bus ride. So both 2, obviously, campuses where the university will gather all of its students, but we're not based right in the middle of the city centre. So just to define campus-based, what exactly does it mean? So there's 2 different types of university campuses. So if you are campus-based, it means you've got student accommodation, teaching, research, and all of your leisure activities right on site. And I myself was campus-based for my first year, so I'll speak a little bit about my own experience as the time goes on. Now it can be in a more rural or suburban area. So throughout my job so far, I've gone to loads of different universities, and some have been quite literally in the middle of the countryside, which is lovely, and some have been more of a suburban area, so near lots of houses and schools, and maybe near general high street shops. But city-based campuses are where all of the facilities and student accommodation are spread out right across the city, and the student has to travel to different buildings to get to their lessons. So a few examples of that, obviously University of Liverpool is right in the middle of the city, then also maybe University of Birmingham, Leeds, of course London, but then you'll find other universities might be a bit more spread out. I know universities maybe like Nottingham Trent are a bit outside the city centre, but then Nottingham's right in the city centre. So we'll go a little bit on to talk about what would suit you personally. So campus universities can feel really homely. Everything you need is normally right on your doorstep. So this would include an on-site laundrette. I would say that is an absolute plus. It's also slightly cheaper to have an on-site laundrette. So most universities will give you a top-up card and you just top that up anytime you need to use it. And it may be a lot more cheaper than using a laundrette, say in the city centre, where you have to pay every single time as you go. And you also always have to have change as well. So that's one plus. Restaurants and bars, obviously having restaurants and bars on site is really handy, especially if you don't have time to make yourself dinner every night, if you've got an event on in the evening. Also these restaurants and bars, because they're situated right in the middle of the university, they can be a lot cheaper, which is super handy if you're obviously on a student budget. And then just joining off from that, the convenience shop. So we have our own convenience shop on site. So it's like a little corner shop right in the middle of the university. And it's got everything you need, quite literally. It's got like a fridge freezer section, it's got sweets, it's got some medicine. You know, some universities also will sell alcohol in the shops too, so you don't always have to go to the bar and sit in. So it's really handy, like depending on what your personal preference is and what you need to buy on campus, and the prices can be quite cheap and affordable. The library tends to be a big one for most students, and this is because some students feel they quite literally can't study outside of a library environment. I myself know I prefer to study in the silent room, so I didn't want to be, in a local library or a city library. I needed complete and utter silence. But you may be completely different. You may prefer to have a little bit of hustle and bustle around you. You may prefer to have, a cafe, or maybe study somewhere in the Students' Union. But the library tends to be a huge plus for most students. And then, of course, the gym and other sports facilities. So most universities will have a gym. It also completely depends on the type of student you are. If you want to have a gym, if you want to be working out quite frequently, I know I would tend to go to the gym once or twice a week just as some form of exercise. So it completely depends how much you want to do that. And then with the other sports facilities, this is just another way, again, to make friends and to socialise at university. If you join a team, or if you join a team within the Students' Union and you're meeting up quite frequently, it's always good to have that close by. And living on campus generally just allows you to be fully submerged in your university's culture. You always know about events, you're always making connections with people, and you tend to be bang on time for everything because you're just so close as well. And it may also benefit you if you have moved away from home, if you are feeling a wee bit homesick. I myself obviously moved over from Belfast to Liverpool, so in that first year, I really wanted that homey community feel around me. I didn't want to be too far away and go to feel really isolated. I think sometimes if you're trying to settle in, it's good to be around people. So we're going to go through a few more of the pros in detail. So as I just mentioned, socialising. Obviously, there's loads of student nights in the city, but sometimes universities will organise events on campus, and this is so handy. I know my own university would do things like karaoke or quiz nights, and there'd be special theme nights where you dress up, there'd be talent shows, and that's just really nice because, again, right on your doorstep, and if you need to go home, you can just walk over to your flat. Speaking of walking over, a quicker commute, if you've got an early morning lecture, you quite literally only have to leave your accommodation 5 to 10 minutes before it starts on time. Some campus-based universities may be a wee bit more spread out, so say it would be like a 5-minute bus, but even then it's much more convenient for you if you prefer to have that rather than to have like a 20-30-minute bus journey. And it's a good way to gain more independence, but still not be completely alone and reliant on yourself. So you can learn to cook and clean for yourself a lot quicker, especially because you're living with everyone in the same boat. All of these people in your accommodation are moving in the exact same week, and it just means you're not alone. And I can definitely say I learned to cook much more better and healthier whenever I was living in my campus-based accommodation with all of my flatmates. And then just generally, if you do ever find yourself unwell or homesick, or if you're just having a down day, it is really comforting to be surrounded by everyone else. And also, it's really nice to have other people on site that you may need, such as your lecturers or your resident tutor, which I'll go on to speak about a bit later. So, if you're feeling anxious about something, if it's something to do with your assignment, your academic work, your lecturer isn't that far away in their office, or maybe they're just on the next campus along. It's really nice that you can just stop by and you don't have to work yourself up going there, and it can all be done in one day. A wee bit more of the pros. So events are much more accessible. And by this, I mean like late night events. If you're someone who doesn't like to be out super late and you don't want to be going back and forth to town, you can leave the Students' Union at any time, and you can also go at any time you like. So it means plenty of fun nights with all of your friends. And you just grow more confident in your socialising when you are more comfortable. I know that for a fact as well. And I think one of the main ones is price. So there's a common misconception that living on campus is more costly than living off. But when you do live on campus, you're saving so much on public transport or petrol, and you're saving a lot more on everything you need. So as I mentioned, the convenience store might be a bit cheaper than going to one of the bigger supermarkets. But it is completely up to you. I'm going to quickly go through some cons as well. There's not too many here, but I would say whenever you are trying to think really thoroughly and you're getting closer to that decision day, do just think to yourself, are the cons really going to affect me? Will they outweigh the pros for you personally as a student? So everything you need might not be on your doorstep like in some city-based universities. So for example, there's definitely not a Tesco right beside our university, like a huge one, because there's no room. Obviously, it's slightly more outside of the city centre. So if that's something that really bothers you, you may prefer to be closer to the city. But we obviously have the option of online shopping. You can plan weekend and evening trips into town to get everything you need. You can share taxis with your flatmates, so it is accessible. You may find constantly being surrounded by university life isn't what you want, and you do want to take a break from the bubble, and that's absolutely fine. If you're maybe doing a subject that's not as settled in terms of academic work, if it's more physical, if it maybe involves more physical practices like sport or anything else, say dramatic arts, you may not want to be constantly in the library all the time or constantly surrounded by academia, and that's absolutely fine as well. And I'll go on a wee bit to what you need to consider afterwards, but this is definitely one of them. And if you're someone who enjoys late nights out, it may be a wee bit more expensive in regards to getting back and forth. So you may want to find a cheaper way to travel apart from taxis. So do check your student travel options. If your university is more rural, buses may not be as often as they would in a suburban or a city-based location as well. So just what to consider: try and attend an open day, obviously in the current climate, an online seminar. Ask the following questions. Now, these are my top 4 questions, but you may want to ask a few more. So do try and have a little think about what it is you want to consider. So is there security on campus? So most universities will have a 24/7 security lodge available, so you feel comfortable at ease and living somewhere completely new. I know I felt more comfortable having security there for the first year. Obviously, it was my first time living away from home, living away from my parents, and knowing that I was safe and secure definitely made a huge difference to my performance every day and just how well in general I was feeling within myself. I mentioned this before, are there any resident tutors? So not all universities may have this addition. It's best to check first. So resident tutors live in their own apartments within the halls, and they're there for you for after-hours support. They tend to have work phone. They're there for emergencies as well if something was to happen and you needed help. And they also take a huge role in organising social events with the student union. So they're one of your social sources as well, which is really important. And also consider, as I mentioned before, how close public transport is. If you're happy to live on campus, but you still want to get in and out of the area, check on student discounts. I know whenever I went to get my student bank account, I was able to get a rail card. So it was around 18 to 24, and that offered me really great value in terms of traveling back and forth. Some universities may have different discounts as well. We have a shuttle bus, which is free for students. Other universities may ask you to pay a small fee. So just check all those details and see if it's something you can afford and something you actually want to do. And is there parking available? So if you are a student who requires a work placement, or if you want to go home frequently, always check how much parking is. It could be completely different depending on what university, whereabouts in the UK it is. The price may go up and down, and make sure you're happy enough to pay that fee. And then also make sure, if you're not happy enough to pay for parking, are you happy enough with the public transport options available? And just it all boils down to your choice and what kind of university experience you want. So you may find traveling to and from campuses may not be an issue to you at all, which is great, but you may also find, you're someone who maybe struggles with time management, or you just want time to settle in and just be in the university environment itself, and that's great. You can still keep off-campus living as an option to you in 2nd, 3rd, or even 4th year, depending on your course. So for my first year, I lived on campus. And in my 2nd and 3rd year, I felt more confident to branch out and go to a student apartment in the city. And that definitely helped me a lot more because, I felt like I knew myself enough to look after myself, and I felt a lot more independent. But I gained that from being around people in my first year. And most universities' accommodation policies are only 1-year contracts, so there is still the opportunity for you to do this quite easily. But do check properly, read the terms and conditions. Every university should have an accommodation page and should have their contact details, so you can always reach out to them if there's anything you're not sure of. So making the choice of whether to live on campus or not can be one of the most important ones you ever make, so do weigh out all your options really carefully. Remember, it's completely up to you and completely your decision. I know if I could go back, I'd probably pick the same one of living on campus, and that's based on everything I know now. But you may be completely different. So try and imagine yourself at university now and what you would be more happy with. So I believe that rounds me off. If you have any questions about accommodation in general, our contact details are there just in case. But I'll let the next speaker begin their talk. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Melissa. Really good introduction to campus universities, and also like looking at the pros and cons between studying at campus uni and not. And I have to say, yeah, if I was looking at universities, that advice I'd find massively useful when looking at A, whether to study at home or to study at the university, and B, to decide whether I'd like the campus or the city approach. So really, really appreciate that. Thank you. Our final speaker is Ruth Boyce, who is joining us from the University of Winchester. Ruth's going to look at what happens on results day with university in mind, and what to expect on that basis, when you're thinking about university, when you're thinking about results day, and what you can expect. I'll pass the floor to Ruth right away. I'm conscious of time, so Ruth, the floor is yours, please.
So I'm just going to go through what happens on results day, and universities are pretty good at results day. We do it every year, but we understand for the people who have kind of applied, results day is new every year. They're getting involved. So I'm going to go through some different options depending on kind of how things go on the day. So the universities do get your results before you do, and it's important to know that, because universities will start making decisions before you get your results about whether or not they're able to offer you a place for that year. You won't see your results in UCAS Track, but you may see that you've been offered a place. So it might be that your firm choice university needs, say, 3 B grades, and you might actually be offered a place, but your results might actually be BBC, and the university have still chosen to take you. So it's important that even though you've looked at UCAS Track on the morning of results day, you actually still get your email, log on to your virtual learning platform, however it is you're getting your results this year, and just make sure that you know what your results look like. Don't just assume because you've been offered a place or you've got an offer and your UCAS Track has kind of ticked through in the morning that you've got what you possibly needed. What we do find is UCAS Track gets really busy. There's kind of folklore and myth about when it transfers. UCAS say 8 a.m. I know students who will be logging in at midnight, at 2 a.m, at 4 a.m. So sometimes it does tick over a little bit earlier. So you can have a look and see what it looks like. Obviously at 4 a.m, most universities, schools and colleges aren't open to give you support. So it might be you've looked at 4 a.m. and been awake all night, but that doesn't necessarily help you out. So don't worry, get up and look at it early in the morning, and you don't need to be checking it all night. This year is a bit different, and we understand that people's grades have been affected. Universities have been working hard with exam boards to understand calculated grades. We know that for some courses there's still going to be good competition. The biggest difference this year is that for those people applying, you won't be able to get a remark. So that is slightly different, and what that does mean is if you are going to resit your exams, maybe in November, which I think is when they're due to happen, you're probably going to be too late to start this autumn. So depending on the results, the calculated grades that you achieve might have an impact on whether or not you choose to take the risk and kind of go to university this year, or whether if you're choosing to resit, that's obviously going to take kind of the full academic year perhaps until you're then able to restart. The great thing is the UCAS system allows you to kind of really explore your options, which just gives you lots of choices once the day's there. So hopefully, if you've got everything you need, great. Your place will be secure. Universities will often contact you then with accommodation details. They will get in touch with you about timetables. Once you've got your confirmed place, you can open your student bank account. So all of those things can happen if you've got the results you need from that point. If you decide you want to make a change, so you've got your results, but you're having a change of heart, if you want to change your university or your course, it's really important perhaps to contact those individually. So if you want to change your course, but you want to stay at the same university, you need to contact them individually. Drop them an email to their admissions. You can call them, but what I would generally advise is admissions teams often ask for it in writing anyway. So it's important to drop them an email, and that will get that process started. If you want to change your university, you can use adjustments, or you can release into clearing to be able to do that. So if your results are slightly unexpected, maybe you've done better than you thought, you can use adjustment. And that might mean that you are then looking for universities with higher entry grades than you had anticipated. If you've not met your conditional offer and your place has been unsuccessful, then you will straight away, without you having to do anything, go into clearing, and you can then use clearing to get an alternative university place. Lots of students perhaps apply, and I know last year and this year more students are applying quite late to university in the first place and going straight into clearing. So it's not necessarily just for those people who've been unsuccessful. The process is used by lots of people who've perhaps just changed their mind about what they want to do that September. So clearing is happening in 2 different ways this year. UCAS have brought out something called Clearing Plus. And what this does, it uses sort of an algorithm to match courses that are linked to courses you have already shown an interest in. UCAS know your results, so on that list they'll be showing you universities that you should be able to enter with the grades that you've achieved. What happens is you can see your selected choices or your clearing options when you log into Track. So they'll come up on a big list, and you will be able to then go through and select which that you think are going to be kind of most relevant for you. So there is kind of a I'm interested tick box, and you can tell a university that you're interested. You can also search manually, and I'll go into this in a bit more detail in a second, and just see what the vacancies are that are available. What you'll notice on there is some of them have got little logos next to, some of the information might be different. Your list might be different to your friend's list based on the information you've given. So if you applied for history degrees, but you've now decided you wanted to do English, you'll notice your list will probably be populated with English history-based courses, because that's what you applied to before. So although Clearing Plus might be useful for some students, it might be that you need to actually do a completely new search if you've changed your idea about what it is you want to possibly study. When you've ticked the I'm interested box, universities ideally will get in touch with you to talk about that. What I would say is that dependent on the university, they're under no obligation to respond, apparently, I found out the other day. So they don't have to respond to that, and also it might take some time. So if you've got your list, what lots of advice services are still suggesting is use Clearing Plus, but actually if they come up on your list and you've got the opportunity to call them, you might find you get a quicker response by ringing the university directly rather than just waiting for your Clearing Plus place. So when you do a course search, you have to select that you want the courses in clearing. For those students who are looking to apply for 2021, you can search for the following academic year. So it's important to make sure you're looking for those in clearing. And when you do your search, it will come up and just remind you you're looking for places in clearing. The courses come up in the same way as when you did a search back before you applied, and you can see all the courses that are open. This does change as we go through clearing. So clearing is already opened on the 6th of July. And what we find is the course lists do change as we get closer to results day. So you can start looking now, but you can also actually then look the day before results day to get a sense of actually what's available and what's on offer. Once you've kind of found a few places you like, you might contact universities and call them to see if they can offer you a place. They'll offer you a verbal place and usually then send you a kind of a confirmation email with those details in. You can collect as many offers as you like. You could ring 30 universities on results day morning if you want to, but you can't put any of those offers in till 3 o'clock on that day. So you have a little bit of time on results day to collect some options and then decide what it is you want to do. What happens is clearing is open for sort of 2 or 3 weeks really after results day, quite a long way into September. But the offer that you get from a university verbally usually only lasts for a few days. So for example, if you rang Winchester on results day, I think we give you about a week, so until like midnight on the following Wednesday, for you to have put that as one of your clearing option. So you have a little bit of time to decide, and as the others speakers have already spoken about today, do that research, work out if the university is for you after results day. During clearing, like I've mentioned, the courses are changing all the time. You can hold kind of several offers and then you select which one of those you want to put into UCAS. What we do find, and increasingly, students are using UCAS really cleverly to get themselves a good place. So nearly 30,000 students used it last year. lots were successful, and quite a few students will use it to go to one of those kind of other 4 options that they had applied to in the beginning on their UCAS form to try and find themselves a place. So about 50% of students are still going to universities that they chose as one of their top 5 when they originally applied. If you've got a change of plan and you were thinking of going, but maybe you've changed your mind, you can withdraw, you can defer your place, or you can choose to bring a deferred place forward. To do the second 2 of those things, so to defer your place or to start that in that particular year, you need to contact the universities individually. Some courses will let you defer, some universities will let you defer. It depends on the course and what you're applying for, and also what you're applying with. So if you've met the grades for this year and you want to go, what you might find is that a university is very happy to let you defer. If you've missed your grades to get in, but the university have taken the circumstances of this year into consideration and said, okay, well, you haven't quite got the grade, but we're willing to take a risk and take you. If you then want to defer that place, a university may be slightly less flexible to do that, because ultimately you haven't necessarily quite met the grades and they're giving you kind of the grace for this academic year to accept your place, but they wouldn't necessarily let you defer. So it's really important you contact individual universities, and they will each have a different kind of way that they are managing that this year. How to prepare. It's like I've said, it's important to do some research. You can do that now. Clearing is open. It never fails to amaze me how many people ring on clearing day, on results day, on their phone, and all their UCAS number, their ID number is all on their mobile phone. So use a pen and paper, write stuff down. The person you're going to be speaking to on the phone is likely to give you details that you might need to write down. Make sure your phone is charged, you've got data, you've got a good internet connection to be able to do that search. Have your personal information ready. Sometimes universities will ask for GCSE results. They will ask for your results that you've had from school or college. So it's important to make sure you've got all that to hand before you start. And every year, schools and colleges have people there to support you. This year might be a bit different, so make sure you check. If you think you're going to need some help, how do you get hold of your head of sixth form? Are you still going in person, or is there a best number for you to ring for your school? So make sure you check that before you get there, so you can get some advice on the day from them as well. Okay. And finally, deciding if it's for you. So results day can feel a bit of a whirlwind. You're pretty busy, kind of maybe ringing around or deciding if it's definitely what you want to do. What you can do is, lots of universities, I think, are still looking at possibly putting small tours in place after results day, where you can come around in small groups to have a look at a university if you've not been able to do that already. You can certainly have a look and use things like UniBuddy and Ask a Student to find out a bit more about what it's like to be a student there. So some of that you might do now before you get your results, or it might be you're doing that kind of once results day comes. Obviously, everything's gone online. Lots of universities are putting things out there virtually. So that's a really good way of being able to kind of connect with them, see what's going on, so that when you get to results day, it's not as stressful, but also actually that you're prepared. And no matter what your results are, you're kind of ready to take the opportunities that are there and use this UCAS system kind of to your advantage.